Hey everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of the restoration of the hood of this truck. It's back on, we're done. I'm gonna show you how I finished it up. In the first part, I went and stripped it, sanded it, primed it, painted it, cleared it, and stopped there. And that could have been good enough, right? If you don't want to do all this other work, you don't really have to. Like it was pretty decent. Now if it's not, or if you're just not happy with it, you wanna smooth it out like you did that. And maybe it's your first time, or shoot, even if it's your third time painting, like me, and you're not terribly happy with the results, it's not a lot of work to make it better. People will talk all the time about, oh, you know, if you're a decent enough painter, then you don't have to cut and buff. And that's true, I assume. I don't know. I've never experienced it because I'm not that good. The cutting and buffing, though, ain't that hard. So it takes some time. So you have to allocate enough time for this, but it isn't physically difficult. Get some machines, and the machines will do all the work for you. So we're gonna do that today. I'm gonna sand it smooth, polish it, and then we'll get it back on the truck. So let's dive in. Give it 48 hours or so to cure. You can see a bunch of little dents in it like that I missed before. What I am seeing though is a ton of these dust nibs on it. I mean, a lot. The orange peel I don't really care that much about, but the dust stuff does look a little bit jacked up. So I'm gonna try to see if I can sand those out with some very, very high grit sandpaper. Probably start with 1500 on a DA sander and see if I can knock all that down. And then just repolish it back to smooth. It's kind of a slippery slope. I need to be careful I don't get too carried away with this, because then it'll start cleaning up, and then I want to take the orange peel out, and then and it just never ends. It's not gonna match the truck anyway. The truck doesn't even look as good as this. Now you can do this by hand, especially with the little dust nibs. It's not that big a deal. Like you just get some little tiny, those little sanding blocks, sand each one down, especially if you only have a couple of them. Since I've got like a couple of hundred, I'm gonna just do it with a power sander. Okay, so like when I was getting that, where I hit it with a hose on the paint, I was getting that blemish out, just get some light soap and water. It's just hand soap. There's nothing special here, just a little bit of water, but the soap makes it a little bit more slippery. And then running the power sander, the DA, over it with 1500 grit, very, very light pressure, like nothing too crazy. Just want to get those bumps off. I'm not trying to sand the orange peel out, not trying to get it dead smooth, just trying to get it where it's not rough. And you can feel it with your hand. You wipe your hand across it, you'll be able to feel those rough spots. Once those are gone, you can move on. Now that's what I'm going to do. So we'll just go get the rest of this panel done, and we'll come back after we're finished. All right, so now I'm gonna step up to I have 3,000. Man, I wish they were out of 2,000, and I'm out of 2,000. We're just gonna go with 3,000 now, because I'm going from like 1,500 this side, 1,200 on this side to 3,000. It's gonna take a little longer. I have to cut a little longer than I would otherwise. You know, if you step up gradually, if I were to go 1,500 to 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000, each round would be not so bad, because you're just a very gradual change. This is a bigger change to get from those scratches to these scratches. So I'm gonna go over it quite long, a lot longer than normal. And I am gonna turn the speed up a touch, because I can afford to here. Now we'll go on to polish. I said I was a little light on stuff. This is the only pad I have. It's a 6-inch pad for a 5-inch polisher. So it's already a little off. I only have one polish. It's this Adams one-step polish, which is good stuff. I do recommend it generally. It doesn't have a great deal of cutting ability though. This is kind of a universal approach. If you have a really tough surface to clean up, then you would go like a lot of little hairline, like little swirlies, little swirl marks or stuff like that, haze. You go to a heavy cutting compound, which has got more material in it, so it's grittier, right? Kind of like sandpaper. It's going to be a heavier grit. It's going to take more material off, not near as much as sandpaper, but more than this will. And then you transition to a finishing polish, which is very light and puts that showroom, show car kind of sheen gloss on it. This was in between those. So it's not as heavy as the heavy cutting, not as finished as the finished cutting. So for me, this is actually fine. You always want to shake it up. I haven't used this in a while, and the material settles. I like to wet the pad first. So this is one of those, like, everybody's got their own way of doing it, and everybody thinks their way is the right way, and they're all right. So I'm also a dab versus swirl guy. So yeah, see, this is pretty old. So I'm not even gonna be able to dab this. This is just runny. I might not be able to use this. It might be too old. The material is just stuck at the bottom. I may have to go get some polishing compound, because this is not what I want to see. We'll try it. I'm just going to do this section here. You do want to do this in small sections, kind of like we did with sanding. But given this section is kind of skinny, I'll just do all this. I spread it around. This is a long throw polisher, so it has a 15mm throw to it. It's kind of a random orbital, so it goes zigzags. It doesn't really rotate, it just rotates by inertia. So it's a real safe, I mean, you can leave it sit in the same spot for quite a while. And that's always a fear when people are polishing. Do they get that burn through again with a rotary polisher? I like to start at like a 3, because cut in the middle goes 1 to 6. So I'll start at 3, and I'll probably stay at 3 on this thing. This is from Adams, a swirl killer. This is an older one. I've had this several years. There's a newer version of this. There's even a cordless version of this. And it has a soft start too. So when you pull the trigger, it doesn't like zing. It's gonna slowly ramp up, which is kind of nice. So we'll just go around. In big panels like that, I'll do it like I did with sanding. I'll do a cross hatch. But this, to get its shape, is just gonna have to go end to end. I use a detail spray. There's a waterless wash that Adams has. A number of like chemical guys, they all have something similar, like a rinseless wash or something like that. Use whatever, just something that's got a little bit of a lubricant in it, keeps it cool. Right now I'm using this detail spray because I have a ton of it. And I have like half a spray bottle of a waterless wash, and I've got a gallon plus of the detail spray. So that's pretty good. I think it can get better though. It's a combination of not very good compound, and I think the pad is disintegrating. You guys see chunks of stuff here. So yeah. So that I don't create a bunch of extra work for myself, I was hoping not to have to run into town and just to get this done. But I'm gonna run into town and get some better compound, or at least some compound, and then get at least a new pad. And I think that will serve me better than I'm gonna go here. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to go back over this again. I picked up a couple things. Different things I'm gonna try. I've got this heavy cut compound here from Meguiar's. And it's the top level, what, 12? It goes 0 to 12, light cut to heavy cut. This is the extra heavy cut. And then I got this stuff from Chemical Guys. They just had this at the parts store. I've not been historically a huge fan of Chemical Guys. They seem to be more gimmick and marketing than products, but I have a few products in those recently, and I've actually been much happier with them than I used to be. I was always an Adams guy, and I still kind of am, but they didn't have much at the store for polishing compounds, and they didn't have the Atom stuff there. This is the fast cutting compound. It doesn't really say how much it cuts. So I'm gonna try this first, see if I can shine this up. I don't need it to be, like I said, showroom shine. So I don't know if I wanna step up, but this is a little bit, maybe a little bit heavy, but I got it just in case this doesn't, because I tried that Atom stuff, of course it was liquid, but it didn't really it get a little bit, but not very good, not very shiny. Still got kind of a haze to it. So we'll try this stuff. I also got from Harbor Freight, which I didn't expect to be able to get stuff at Harbor Freight like this. I don't know if it's any good or not, but a couple of these pads, fancy packaging, so you know, probably good, right? So this is just a universal polishing pad. They have different pads for different cuts, heavy cut, light cut, medium. So this is just the in between, low cut, high finish, it said. And this is a microfiber pad. And microfiber, or if you use a wool pad, those are the heavier cuts to them. So I'm gonna do that first, see if we can get this smooth. And then, well, there's two of them in there. That's also kind of handy. Still always, I wet the pad a little bit, just a little. And I'll wet the surface as well once I get there, but this, so like I said before, I'm more of a dab dot guy. Bigger dots than that, okay? You don't really need a ton of the stuff because you're going to come back and do some more. So I'll just give a little light dusting on the panel. Spread material around. Make sure to get the side here because I did sand that a little bit. So it's throwing microfibers all over the place, but it works pretty good. Look at that. And smooth. I'll throw some detail spray on just to get a last minute clean off. I'll take that. That's pretty good. Now, I don't know about this stuff. The Atom stuff you could reuse pretty good. And actually, you can still see the blue dots on it for the next section. And I'm going to use, just because I don't know for sure how this works, I'm going to dab a little more on in between those dots. Just dot, just a small amount. None of this is particularly hard, right? It's not hard work. The machine does all the work. You just got to guide it around. You don't have to put a lot of pressure down. You don't have to be real, you know, don't tire yourself out polishing a car when you can do it with this with pretty minimal effort. Need to get this line here a little more. I didn't get it very much. The black is so unforgiving. So if you have a hood that you just want to polish, forget like we didn't have to do all that painting we did. You can do this right on the car. You don't have to take this off. And it's probably even easier. You know, the truck is a little bit tall and that can make it a little harder, but I'm a tall guy, so actually this like chest high to do the hood is probably pretty good height for me. And it isn't so wobbly, which would make this cut even faster. It's kind of losing some of the value of the friction of the pad with the you know, hood moving with it. But that's good enough for me. And so we'll just keep working our way around. This isn't cutting as well as I'd like. So I wonder about saving that for finish. And let's use this McGuire stuff, a little bit heavier. That's better. That's good enough. I can live with that. That's again, black, man. If it ain't perfect, you will tell. That Firebird was red. And red hides a lot. Lighter the color, the better. The blue I put on the golf cart was super easy to do and super forgiving. This black, not so much, but it does look pretty though, don't it? All right, I'll move you out of the way because I gotta finish over here. It's gonna rain. I'm hoping to have this done, get the truck back in here before it rained. That's better. That's spirit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, I think I'm actually gonna stop here. I said I was gonna do another round with a lighter pad. I'm gonna wait actually to put that on the truck. Here's why. This is actually quite glossy, and it's got a little bit of a fine haze. In the right light, you can see it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. You know, in the sunlight, you'll probably be able to see it better, but I don't know how well. And the truck has already got some old faded paint on it. So getting this too glossy, like trying to blend it with the truck. So I don't want to get too shiny. That's what I'm saying. But if it needs more, I can do it more. I can do that final polish on the truck. That's not that big a deal. You just do the same thing, just with a different pad. And in this case, I'll probably use different compound. So we're done. So let's take a look, see what it looks like. Especially relative to what it was before. Remember that? You can see a little bit of that haze on it now. Right there. Kind of see it. It's about to start pouring. So I'm gonna try to get the truck back in here since it has no hood on it. Okay, we got the hood back on, truck back in the garage. So this is the one round. Obviously, it was multiple steps on each section, but I would say one round of polishing. That's one type of compound with one type of pad. And you just keep polishing until you get a finish that you like. Now, there's a point where that heavy compound is going to stop. It's just not going to give you any more shine. It's just going to keep taking stuff off. But it's going to leave like tiny little, I mean like microscopic level scratches and stuff in it. And that's why you see the fade or the dullness in the paint. So there's a little bit of that in this hood. The question is it enough to make me want to do more? Or does it blend in pretty well with the truck already because the truck already is a little faded and I really don't want to polish the whole truck? Let's take a peek around the truck and we'll see what it looks like. So you're seeing, this is the light, the overhead lights up here, and a little bit of a glare on the paint from the lights. It's not as hazy. It's not as hazy as it looks. I know it looks real cloudy, but it's just a glare. Just some reason the camera's picking up. That's shiny. It's picking up glare off the lights, just like if you look at the lights directly. See how you got the same glare in the lights? Just something weird with the camera. So on the paint, it does the same thing. If we block it off, you can see pretty good reflection. I get real close, you can start to see the orange peel back in it. So we're not gonna go there. We're gonna stay, we're at not quite arm's length. Now, there's still a few spots. So if you look right here, there's a swirl right there. There's a couple spots here where I did not polish the orange. Basically, that's what you're seeing there is the orange peel. So the part up high is still a little faded, and the bumps, and the deeper parts never got to a sandpaper, so they're still glossy from the original clear. So a little bit more polishing to do there maybe. And again, another swirl up here. So as we came around with the polisher, it got real good here and up here, but just did not get enough on that edge. And then there's another spot, a line right here, and another one actually right on there. And that one runs all the way up the line. So that just was really hard to get. I'll probably work on that some more. Let me come around to the driver's side because I actually cleaned this panel. So, but you can see like there's a nasty scratch right there. There's another one right there. So, but there's the hood and there's the fender. And from, like I said, from, let's stand back here, from just over arm's length now, it blends in pretty good. I don't think, if you didn't know I had just done this, you'd know I'd done anything to it. You think it was original. I think I'm just gonna work on getting these real, there's another spot right there that I can see now they got the light just right. Getting these spots out, because they look a little blotchy, but that's the only thing. So I'm gonna come back around with a polisher and some basic, that I'll use that other Chemical Guys polish and the yellow pad, and we'll see if we can get the rest of this out. There we go. Oh, we're getting there. Like, I don't know how well that shows up, but I can see my ugly mug in the hood there. You can see, here's the fender. There's the hood. So see what I mean? I actually made the hood too shiny. You can see now why, for most people, it would be a lot easier to do this hood off the car, off the truck. That's a long reach up there. The nice thing about these polishers, though, I can do this one-handed. You will see some of these detailer videos from these, either the companies that make this stuff or what professional detailers, and they'll tape off sections. That's not a bad idea. It's not required. A couple of reasons I would do it. Just one, so you can see where you're going. So you make sure you get it. So you can see the contrast. That's helpful too, right? You see where the tape line is, where you've done, where you've not done. But also it does keep you from overlapping too much, because like this section here, just kind of like with paint, you know, if you spray paint and stop and then come back, you're going to get a double dose of paint in that spot as you make the return run. That's true of the polish. As I polish over here, like that original line was somewhere around here. So there's a little section here that's going to be more polished than the rest of the truck, than the rest of the hood. And that may show up. So having a tape line where you can have a definite stopping point can be helpful. I've never had that show up. I've never had it where you can see this line where I polished twice, basically. So I'm not sure how real that is. I think they just do it for effect, because it looks good to have that hard, absolute polish line and then a not polished line. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. But if you guys have some other thoughts on why one might tape it, why you would tape it, why you've heard what other people say they tape it, comment down below. That looks pretty spectacular. I'm super happy with that. We'll go to the other side and we're gonna be done. So was it 10 minutes? So another 10 minutes for the other half. So it doesn't take a ton of time. These machines make this very, very handy. If I do this by hand, this would obviously take a lot longer, probably so long I wouldn't even do it. This machine from Adams Polishes called Swirl Killer, it's not super cheap. This one was made in America, which is one of the reasons why I bought it. Their newer ones, I believe, are not. I think they're back in China again. But it's hard to find something that's not these days, so that may not be a deterrent. But at that point, if you're willing to buy something like that, you could probably get it for a lot less. So another one's called, there's a company called Flex, I believe it is, that makes the polisher. It looks just like this, just doesn't have the Adams logo on it. There's a bunch of them on Amazon. I'll put a link to Adams' newest one, as well as Chemical Guy's newest one, which is, I believe, that Flex polisher. And then I'll throw a budget one in that you can get off Amazon that seems pretty good. It does pretty much the same thing. Harbor Freight sells them. Milwaukee now sells 12-volt versions of this, but you're paying Milwaukee premium prices. So, you know, if you can swing it and you can come up with some funds to get one of these polishers, that will make your life so much easier. The DA sander that we used earlier runs off a compressor. Obviously, you gotta have a pretty good compressor for that. So that's another one where some of these battery-powered tools are really stepping up and getting these DA sanders in battery. But otherwise, you need about at least a 30-gallon compressor. I have a 60-gallon, and you hear it kick on quite a bit, I'm sure. So that can be tough. Sanders use a ton of air. But again, if I did that by hand, it would have taken way longer. Make sure you're using a good clean towel too, because you hate to do all this polishing. And then as you wipe it off with a dirty towel that just grinds scratches back in again, if you just took them all out. Well, I don't know how glossy that looks on camera, but that's pretty good. It's gonna be good enough for me, for sure. Probably too good. I probably did go too far. and I ended up making it look better than the rest of the truck does. And that's gonna bother me to a point where I probably will end up cleaning up the rest of this truck, but that's another day. Today we're done. Now I still gotta do the roof at some point. That'll be different. Doing the roof for me will be I've never done a roof. I've done all the stuff around the sides now, but I have not done a roof. So that'll be different. And I probably won't use stripper on that because I don't know how to contain it well enough to not accidentally get stripper on parts I don't want to redo. But that's another day. Today was this time was the hood, and we're done. So like I said at the end of part one, that could have been good enough, and we could have been done. And this does look a lot better though. So how much you'll have to do of this will depend on how much damage is in your surface. If you just have some light surface scratches, like some of them I showed you on this side, these might only be in the clear, in which case you can just sand those scratches out. Sometimes those scratches are so fine, they'll come out like if they're real fine, like if you regularly use an automated car wash, but some of us call those swirl makers, they'll make little swirly scratches in your paint, and it'll start to dull the finish. If you notice that, just polish. And that may take that out, kind of where we took it from where it was to this with the polisher. If you've got some slight imperfections in the clear, then sand with some, and work your way down. So start with really high grit, like that 2000, 3000. If that doesn't work, you can step down and step down and step down. You get down to about 800, in my limited experience, you get down about 800, that's when you're gonna start getting burned through pretty fast. So you're gonna get right through the clear into your paint. If you've got to go that far, then do the whole thing, that whole section, and then just don't get through the paint, but you just get through your imperfection so that it's smooth again, scuff up what you're finished, and respray clear. So again, kind of keep working your way down, literally down through the finish. If your paint's cracked, you got to get all the way into the primer, then you probably really have to get all the way to metal. But again, the entire hood was like that. If you only have a section that's like that, you may be able to just do a section, smooth it out with some sanding, maybe a little bit of filler if it's a real heavy, deep gouge you got to get out. Like I probably should have done with some of these little dents. Put a little bit of body filler on those, smooth those out if I was trying to get it dead smooth. And then work your way back up like you use everything we did in these two videos. So you don't have to do all of this. Do whatever needs to be done to get it to look as good as you like it, okay? A lot of people are gonna comment on this about what I did or didn't do, and maybe what I did wrong, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. This is what works for me, and it got me to where I want to be. You may want to be farther, but if you're not, then don't. Don't let anybody tell you what your finish has to look like. But also, you don't have to be particularly scared of it. I mentioned this also in that first video. This kind of stuff can feel a little daunting. Running sandpaper across your car, the body of your car, is a little scary. And when you're done, it looks kind of crappy. And you're like, what have I done? I've ruined it. And then you can just polish it back out. So pick yourself up one of these polishers. It's a super handy tool and makes real quick work of a lot of this stuff. So I hope that gives you a little confidence, a little bit of empowerment, if you will, that you can get this stuff done and you don't have to pay. This would have been several $100s from a body shop. And it cost me in materials. Now granted, I have all the tools, but even if I had to buy the tools, I'll bet I could buy all the tools. I mean, if I could just go down the list, the compressor was $200 off Facebook. So, it's a cheap Husky air compressor. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. The polisher, I think my polisher was about $150. You can get them cheaper. That sander is just from Harbor Freight. It's like $50. And I've probably got, with all is said and done, paint, primer, paint, stripper, clear coat, all the sandpaper I used, the polish I bought, the pads I bought, I'm still, like in materials, I'm under $200. So, and that's with, now I still got half a gallon of clear left, and I probably got enough paint, I'll finish the roof with it, and so be able to reuse a lot of these same materials that I bought for the roof too. So I'll get 2 panels really for that same $200. I won't spend appreciably more, maybe another couple bucks for a little more sandpaper. So you can save a ton of money, and it looks really nice. And nobody will ever know now that it didn't always look this way. From up close, you can see there's still a couple little like swirly scratches from the sander that got too deep the polisher can't get out. There's a couple of fade spots. There's obviously a bunch of dents that the black shows like a neon sign. But from 10 feet away, it looks darn good. Good luck to you. Thanks for watching. and we'll see you next time.